Imagine you're a police officer finishing an ordinary night shift. You stop a stolen car. You expect to find a criminal trying to escape. Instead, when you look inside, you realize you've just captured El Chapo, one of the most wanted men in the world. Now you have a choice: take the money, let him go, or put him in handcuffs and risk becoming the next target of an entire cartel. And that's where Facing El Chapo becomes much more than a crime thriller, because this isn't really a story about how police hunted down El Chapo. It's about what happens after two ordinary officers accidentally find him. The movie opens with images of Mexico's brutal war against the cartels. News reports show armed confrontations between police, Marines, and cartel members. There are memorials for officers who died in the line of duty, and the message from the government is clear: the cartel leadership has to be brought down. But while the country is focused on powerful criminals and military operations, the story takes us somewhere much more personal. Los Mochis, Sinaloa, January 2016. And that's where we meet Arturo Carmona. Arturo isn't introduced as some unstoppable action hero. He's a family man, a police officer, a husband, and a father who is already struggling to make ends meet. At home, Arturo and his wife Isaura are trying to keep their family financially afloat. They already have 2 children. Then Isaura reveals something that changes everything. She's pregnant again. For a moment, Arturo is stunned. Another child means another mouth to feed, more bills, more pressure, and Arturo knows his regular police salary isn't enough. Isaura isn't happy when Arturo suggests taking the night shift. She knows exactly how dangerous Sinaloa can become after dark. But Arturo sees the situation differently. He isn't chasing money for luxury. He's trying to protect his family. So he volunteers for the night patrol, and that's when we start to understand the kind of man Arturo is. He's willing to put himself in danger if it means giving his family a better life. But there's another reason Arturo struggles with the night shift: his past. Arturo has been involved in a notorious case involving a young drug trafficker who took hostages. The situation became deadly. Children were killed, and Arturo was forced to shoot the attacker. He survived the incident, but psychologically he never really left it behind. He begins suffering nightmares. In those nightmares, the same horrifying images return: a gun, a hostage, a terrified child, and Arturo pulling the trigger. The public may see him as a brave officer, but Arturo sees something else when he looks in the mirror: a man carrying guilt. And that guilt is about to become important, because soon Arturo is going to face another situation where innocent lives, and his own, are on the line. At the police station, Arturo requests the night shift. The commissioner isn't thrilled about it, but then a new officer arrives. His name is Héctor Rosales. Rosales is experienced, but he's also very different from Arturo. He isn't as serious, he doesn't seem particularly interested in taking unnecessary risks, and he has his own way of doing police work. The commissioner decides to pair them together, partly because Arturo is reliable, and partly because someone needs to keep an eye on the new guy. From the beginning, the chemistry is awkward. Arturo doesn't trust Rosales, and Rosales doesn't seem interested in proving him wrong. Their first shift is supposed to be routine, but routine doesn't last very long. During their patrol, they come across another police unit dealing with a drug operation at a patrol station. Arturo immediately wants to help. They assist with the suspects and the drugs, but something doesn't feel right. The people they're dealing with don't look like ordinary criminals, and Arturo starts noticing something even more disturbing. One of the officers may have connections to the criminals. Now Arturo has another problem. He doesn't know who he can trust. And then he starts watching Rosales. Rosales talks casually with people who appear to have cartel connections. He doesn't explain himself, and Arturo notices something else. Rosales is wearing an expensive watch. For a police officer with a modest salary, it looks suspicious. Is Rosales corrupt? Is he connected to the cartel? Or is Arturo simply allowing his past experiences to make him suspicious of everyone? The movie deliberately keeps us guessing, and that's important, because when the real danger arrives, Arturo is going to need Rosales more than he realizes. After the first night, Arturo goes home. He reassures Isaura that everything will be fine. He'll get used to the schedule, he'll get used to Rosales, and life will continue. But Rosales arrives early before their next shift. This time he opens up. He knows about Arturo's famous case.
He knows what Arturo went through, and instead of judging him, Rosales tells him something unexpected. He believes Arturo is a clean cop. For the first time, Arturo admits that he still suffers from nightmares. He admits that the past still haunts him, and slowly the wall between the two officers begins to come down. But while their relationship is improving, something much bigger is happening across the city. Mexican Marines are preparing to raid a suspected hideout connected to El Cholo, a senior figure in the Sinaloa cartel, and no one realizes yet that this operation is about to send the most wanted man in Mexico directly into Arturo and Rosales' path.
Arturo and Rosales begin their first night patrol together, but neither man completely trusts the other. Then, suddenly, they hear about trouble at a gas station. Another police unit has just arrested several suspected cartel members. Arturo decides to help escort the suspects and drugs to the authorities, but something feels wrong. As they approach, Arturo notices that some of the men watching from nearby seem to have connections with the cartel, and Rosales seems strangely comfortable around them. Arturo starts wondering, is his new partner actually a dirty cop? Rosales refuses to explain himself, making the situation even more suspicious. Then Arturo notices something else. Rosales is wearing an expensive watch, far too expensive for a police officer struggling on a normal salary. But before Arturo can push the issue further, their shift ends. The next night, Rosales arrives early and finally opens up. He knows about Arturo's past and the infamous shooting that still haunts him. For the first time, Arturo admits that the nightmares never really stopped. But neither man realizes that their personal problems are about to become meaningless, because somewhere else in Sinaloa, the Mexican Marines are closing in on one of the cartel's most important hideouts. Their target is El Cholo. A violent gun battle erupts. The cartel members fight back, but eventually the Marines take control of the building. There is only one problem. El Cholo is gone. The officers discover a hidden tunnel beneath the hideout, and that tunnel leads directly into the city's sewage system. The Marines believe El Cholo will eventually have to come out somewhere, and they are right. El Cholo emerges from a manhole with another man. They steal a car at gunpoint and disappear into the night. Police dispatch quickly sends out the vehicle's description, and by pure chance, the car crosses paths with Arturo and Rosales. They pull it over. At first, it looks like another routine stop. Then Arturo looks inside. His expression changes instantly, because sitting in the vehicle is not an ordinary criminal. It's Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán. One of the most wanted men in Mexico is suddenly sitting right in front of two ordinary police officers. And now they have a choice. Let him go, or arrest him and risk becoming the next targets of the cartel. But whatever they decide, their lives will never be the same again. Arturo and Rosales now have El Chapo in their patrol car, but instead of feeling powerful, they realize they may have just signed their own death warrants. El Chapo calmly offers them money, a lot of money. Rosales is tempted. After all, they both know what the cartel is capable of. But Arturo refuses. Then El Chapo makes the threat clear. If money doesn't work, violence will. Two cartel scouts soon begin following the patrol car. When they try to eliminate the officers, Arturo and Rosales are forced to defend themselves. Now there is no turning back. The officers keep driving, but their fuel is running low. They stop at a gas station where more cartel members begin closing in. For a moment, it looks like the two cops are trapped, but Rosales comes up with a clever plan, allowing them to escape without starting another deadly shootout. Eventually, they realize they have nowhere safe to go, so they hide El Chapo inside a motel. There, Rosales finally explains the suspicious behavior Arturo noticed earlier. The expensive watch was a gift from his father, and his strange interaction with the cartel-looking men wasn't what Arturo thought. For the first time, the two officers truly trust each other. But their enemies are already moving. The motel attendant secretly sends El Chapo's picture to the cartel. At the same time, Arturo's wife calls, worried because he hasn't returned home. Then Arturo receives terrifying news. Armed men are at his house. Suddenly, this isn't just about arresting El Chapo anymore. His family is in danger, and the cartel knows exactly where Arturo lives. The Marines finally arrive at the motel. At the same time, cartel men are closing in on Arturo's home. But before the cartel can reach his family, the military arrives and protects them. At the motel, the Marines storm inside and finally take control. El Chapo is captured. El Cholo is captured as well, along with several other suspects. After everything Arturo and Rosales have risked, the most wanted man in the country is finally in custody. But there is one final confrontation. The federal police commissioner insists that his officers captured El Chapo and should be involved in transporting him. The Marines disagree. They want to take control of the prisoner themselves. Eventually, the mission is completed and El Chapo is taken away. The movie then gives us an update on what happened afterward. El Chapo eventually receives a life sentence plus another 30 years in prison.
El Cholo is extradited to the United States to face serious charges. As for Arturo and Rosales, their courage changes their lives forever. Arturo is promoted and later assigned to an overseas security detail. Rosales receives a similar assignment. Their exact whereabouts remain classified, and that's what makes the ending so interesting. These two officers weren't legendary heroes when the night began. They were simply two cops doing their jobs. But one unexpected traffic stop placed the world's most notorious drug lord in their hands. They could have taken the money. They could have looked the other way. Instead, they chose to trust each other and do their duty. And that is the real heart of Facing El Chapo. Sometimes courage isn't about having no fear. It's about making the right choice when you're absolutely terrified.